let's get to this Jamal Adams story. And I got a lot here that I kind of put together.
Yeah.
And everybody knows who follows me on Twitter at DPN_Ray. I basically show you what my show is going to be based on the big long tweets I put out when I'm just screenshotting things and putting out information.
Yep.
But Ian Rappaport tweets out today, Seahawks Pro Bowl safety Jamal Adams tore his labrum. He suffered additional significant shoulder damage on Sunday's win, sources say. He's having season-ending surgery to repair it all. Same shoulder as last year. Surgery, a necessity. Adams will make a full recovery for 2022. Now, Dov Kleinman tweets, and I'm not usually a guy who, looks at what Dov Kleinman says and takes it serious, but he made some good points. He said Seahawks gave 3 draft picks and a player to the Jets for Jamal Adams, including 2 first-rounders.
Mm-hmm.
They made him the richest safety in the NFL history at 4 years, $72 million.
Yep.
Adams has 0 sacks this year. He's ranked 90th out of 97 in coverage, and he wasn't a top 10 in the run. I went over to PFF. His total defensive grade for this year, 60.1 for a $72 million player. His coverage grade, he's a safety. His coverage grade, 47.4. Let me tell you how crazy this is, though, okay? In 2018, PFF grades him at 89.8. 2019, 87.9. Here's his grades for 2020 and 2021. 2020, when he gets traded, 62.7. 2021, 60.1. So you gave up a ton of draft capital. You gave up a ton of money that you could have spent in your offensive line and protected your franchise quarterback who now wants to run out of town because he's sick of losing and he's sick of just being nailed all the time. Could this go down as one of the top 10 worst trades in NFL history? On obviously the Seahawks losing and the Jets winning this trade significantly?
I don't know I think this may be a little bit early to talk about this because you still got a couple other things. What's the first rounder next year going to be? Who's that player going to be? Will that player be a bust? Will it pan out for the Jets? If you look at it, like you said, once he got traded in the year, even though he had that PFF grade. Now I take PFF grades with a grain of salt sometimes because they're, you can either, you can say this, that, and the third. But I did look up
I agree.
PFF.
Just so everybody knows, I usually use PFF and Player Profiler. I refuse to give money to DVOA because they want way too much for DVOA stats. But I use Player Profiler, I use PFF, and I use traditional stats, and I usually use a combination. For the prep today, though, it was just the drop in PFF that I was looking at to go from an 87 and 88 to a 60. That's what I was using it for.
And I have the stats that I want to counter that with. Now, I just want to take this back to the Bills real quick. When the Buffalo Bills traded for Stephon Diggs, they were trading a first-round pick for a player that had 4 years left on his deal, and they can control that deal. So it kind of matched up as you guys know, first-round picks are 4-year deals with a 5th-year option. So it was 4-year deals. He only had 1 year left on his deal when they traded for him. So you're going to have to re-sign him. In 12 games with Seattle, he had 83 tackles, 9.5 sacks, 3 pass defended, 0 picks. Then they extended him on that alone. They said, okay, what you bought was a $72 million linebacker. You didn't buy a safety. You got a linebacker. And with those statistics, over 12 games now, he had 9.5 sacks in 12 games. You got to extend it because you traded for him and you gave up all this capital. Now, the capital is the other thing I want to focus on was the fact that he gave up a first and a third. The Jets end up using that first traded with Minnesota and gave that third to Minnesota along with their own third for Elijah Vera Tucker. Now, he has graded out as 58th out of 80 in the pass protection, 17th out of 80 in the run for a 36 overall as a rookie. He came from USC. So if you want to think about it in that respect to say, okay, they gave the first and the third that Seattle gave them to move up for Vera Tucker. Now, we don't know the book's still on Vera Tucker because he just played his first year. He was drafted 14th overall. They moved up from 23rd, which was the Seattle pick. But I think time will tell. Once we see what that first round pick in 2022 will be, then you could say, okay, this is one of the worst. This is one of the worst trades, because you give up 2 first rounders, you thinking it's a quarterback. You don't usually give up 2 first rounders for a safety. I think Carroll wanted to grab some of that magic from the Legion of Boom and bring it back over. But, Chancellor and that other maniac back there, I can't remember his name.
Richard Sherman, Michael Bennett.
The safety was with him. that was back there. It was Cam Chancellor and I can't
Earl
believe
Thomas.
Earl Thomas. Those guys actually picked the ball off.
Yes.
So, like I said, if you graded him as a linebacker instead of a safety, I think it'd be a lot better. But right now, I just think it's trending toward one of the worst trades to give up 2 first-round picks for. But I don't think it's there yet because there's still some X factors that are out there.